Hello, fellow fans. I'm Mark. United with me is my co-host, the Furious Brian. What up, Brian?
Hey, everyone.
Family.
That was my
On the
Fury.
last episode, Brian, are we going to ever do a Fast and Furious episode?
No, absolutely not. That would mean I have to watch them all. I haven't seen anything since Tokyo Drift.
What if we did the episode while in the line to go on the Fast and Furious ride?
I already said no. Why would I? Why would I want to do that?
True. I didn't know if that would get you excited for the episode if we did it in the middle of the line for the ride.
Shout out to Maya. The last time I tried to ride that ride, it broke down. I was trying to take her nephew on it, and he really wanted to go. Against our better judgment, we did it anyway. Oh, that ride's so bad.
Yeah. Oh, maybe we can do an episode on bad rides. We did do it on theme park ride. Well, anyways, on our last episode, Brian and I had the Battle of the Chris's, where we had 8 of them, but only one champion. So listen in, find out who won, who lost, who went out quickly, and if you agree or hate us for how we did it. But on this week's episode, Brian and I are going to be doing one of the most challenging episodes we've ever done, discussing our top 10 favorite movies of all time. Join us, cry with us, stress out with us as United We Fan starts now.
The truth is, I am Iron Man.
I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
What is going on? What are you doing?
To infinity and beyond!
This is the way.
The flux capacitor!
Is Star Wars the one with the little wizard boy?
Chewie, we're home.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Ah, chills. Literal chills.
Hello, fellow fans. I'm going to delay Brian in this episode as long as possible because I need you to know this is a stressful episode for me. But thank you all for uniting with us as we talk about all things fandom. Please give us a rate or review wherever you listen so we can unite with more fans out there. We are on the Twitter, the Instagram, and Facebook. We're not on the TikTok yet. We're going to leave that to our other friends, Mark and Piano Rob, but give them some loving. Brian, are you ready for this?
Sort of. So, I mean, we're rating our top 10 favorite films, and I think we need to define how we defined our top 10, because simple fact is it's our list. We can do whatever we wanted to do. So mine is, I don't have a running list. I don't have like a letterboxed account or like I don't rate things on IMDb. I wish I probably should start doing that. But I went through just simply thinking about movies, and I thought for like an hour and a half. Like I just sat in front of my phone just trying to think of movies, going through, and it said, and for me it was just, if I could watch any movie, if I could only watch 10 more movies for the rest of my life, which 10 would I choose? And being a huge Star Wars and Marvel fan, like I felt like I could just have taken 5 from each franchise and called it good, but I obviously didn't do that. I kind of limited myself when it came to Star Wars and Marvel. There's only one of each, but I'm comfortable in where I landed. But it's just like, did I forget something? Quite possibly. Did something like Catch Me If You Can, movie I absolutely love, get left off of my list? It did. I didn't count in critical acclaim. I didn't count in anything. It's just my top 10 favorite films that I want to watch. And when people say it's in my top 10 favorite films of all time, you need to make them do this, because then they actually have to put their money where their mouth is.
I rank movies on IMDb. Sometimes, guys, I watch a lot of movies, and sometimes I go, I feel like I've seen that one. I don't know. So I go to IMDb to see if I have or not.
I did watch it.
I started Letterboxd, and it wasn't for me. It should have been. I don't know why it's not. Maybe I'll revisit it. But yeah, it felt too snobbish for me. But yeah, so I didn't.
Did you take in critical acclaim or anything into account when you, like, because there's going to be films on here where people are like, that is simply not a top 10 favorite or best film of all time. I mean, Citizen Kane, not on my list.
Yeah. No, I don't care about that. My list doesn't have any Best Picture winners. It has Oscar nominated and winning films, but none for Best Picture. I mean, I thought about movies like Notting Hill, with Hugh Grant and Julia Roberts. I love that movie.
Yeah, our lists are very different.
It's not a award movie at all. What's Your Number? Chris Evans. No, I didn't care about critics. I thought about movies like that. As you said, if I can only watch certain movies, and which movies do I find me putting on for like comfort reasons or enjoyment reasons? And I mean, we did ask our Facebook followers, so feel free to follow us on there if you ever want to chime in. And some movies we got out there were Carly commented What We Do in the Shadows, which is a brilliant film. Love it.
It's unacceptable to have so many bloody dishes all over this bench like that.
I'm so embarrassed when people come over here.
What does it matter? You bring them over, you kill them. Vampires don't do dishes.
I feel really bad. Back to the Future. I didn't think about that.
Great Scott!
It didn't make my list, but I was pissed that I forgot about Back to the Future.
It didn't make my. I had a couple of. I pulled a few of my friends as well, and a couple of people said Back to the Future is their number one film of all time, and it's not in my top 10, but.
And I love that movie.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe that it didn't even make my list. We had people put out there, Indiana Jones, Empire Strikes Back, of course, like the Star Wars movies and Spielberg movies made it out there. Princess Bride. I was so happy that my friend Mary, listener Mary out there, put Princess Bride on there. Love the Princess Bride. And let's see some other ones out there. Singing in the Rain. That is one of my favorite musicals. I thought about that one. That one came from our good friend Laura. She's a big fan of Ocean's 11. Brian, I thought of you, but
I love Ocean's 11 so much.
She has center stage on hers, which is not a comedic a critic darling at all. And then listener Bradley, he had on there. He had Avatar, the first one on there. Dogma actually popped up on a couple of people's. I was happy about that. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I love that movie.
I saw that. Who put that?
That was Bradley.
Yeah, I saw he had it like number 2.
It's on Netflix. He had Brazil on there, so good for the shout out for Brazil. He did have There Will Be Blood. I do not get the love for that movie.
I don't get the love for Daniel Day-Lewis in general.
He's a brilliant actor, but his movies, I feel like his performances are usually always better than the movie. Nathan, my friend Nathan, thank you for the tons of Turner Classic movie shout outs on there. He also did like Blade Runner, Vertigo. I love Vertigo. Evil Dead 2. I did giggle. He put Eyes Wide Shut on his. Spirited Away, brilliant movie. And then a couple others out there, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. You and I have done an episode on that. La La Land, another Avatar fan. The Fast and Furious movies. Derek, good for you. And then lastly, we'll give a shout out to Jake, who did Baby Driver, which is a good movie. Lord of the Rings popped up there. And then, our good friend Patrick. Sorry, I'm going to throw him in there. I know I said I was going to stop, but I don't care. It's our show. Patrick, listener, did Wall-E, underrated movie. Brian.
I think it was 16th on my Pixar list.
Ugh. He did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Why did I stutter on that? Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Val Kilmer and Robert Downey Jr. And he also did a shout out to The Truman Show. I went back and revisited that movie after I saw it. I love The Truman Show. And then last but not least, listener Becky did The Sound of Music, which, it's on a lot of people's greatest movies of all time list. It's not on mine, but that's why everyone is great. It's different. It was very comforting to see our listeners being challenged with doing their list. But Brian, I'm stalling, and you know what? Let's get to it. Let's do this.
Shout out to listener Ryan. He said it's either a tie between Avengers Endgame or Toy Story 2. Two very different films.
For his favorite movie?
Yep. Jalen said Titanic.
Okay. Yeah.
So Best Picture winner. I think I actually do have one Best Picture winner on my list of 10.
I love Titanic, and it's coming back to theaters.
I think for
next
Valentine's.
month.
Yeah, I think for Valentine's Day, right?
Yeah. If you haven't seen it on the big screen, go watch it. If it's been a long time, go watch it on the big screen. That movie is your viewing experience is heightened on the big screen with Titanic.
Alex and Sarah, listeners, both said Tree of Life, favorite film of all time.
Wow. Friends. That took me several. That took me several viewings to get through. I dozed off the first time.
So it's not on your top 10, probably.
No. The director is Terrence Malick, and he is a acquired taste. I love The Thin Red Line.
Pulp Fiction, also a good one.
Man, I feel like we're gonna get roasted because we don't have that. Brian, I'm calling it now. You don't have that even in your top 20.
No, I didn't go down to 20. But even if I had Pulp Fiction, probably I'd have to probably go down to top 30, maybe even top 50 to know for a fact Pulp Fiction would be there. I like Pulp Fiction. I like Pulp Fiction a lot. But when
it's not even my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie, though.
What is your favorite Quentin Tarantino movie?
Oh man, I just did this poll somewhere. I really love Kill Bill and Django Unchained are both so good. Yeah.
The game where everything's made up and the points don't matter.
I'm turning the tables on you. Mount Rushmore of Quentin Tarantino films.
See. All right. Let me see. All right. What did I say already? I said Kill Bill, Volume 1.
Mm-hmm. Django Unchained.
Django Unchained. Pulp Fiction. Yeah, I would have gave up my my movie card if I didn't have that on there. Inglourious Bastards.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So those are your 4? You're at 4 now?
Yeah.
Okay. What about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
No.
Don't like that one, no?
That's probably towards the bottom of my list for him.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I also have Inglourious Bastards. I don't like Kill Bill as much as other people do. I think it's good. But there's a glaring omission on your list, and I will give it here in a minute. I'm going to go Inglourious Bastards. I am going to go Pulp Fiction. Mm-hmm. I will go Django Unchained. And I will go with Reservoir Dogs. It's been a while since I've seen Reservoir Dogs, but if you listen to the latest episode of Babu's Freaking Podcast, we compare the Bad Batch to Reservoir Dogs, and it made the Bad Batch far more interesting.
Oh, check that out. I like Reservoir Dogs. I would say... Yeah, my bottom is probably Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Really?
I
don't care for Sin City very much either.
Well, he was just a guest director on that, so I didn't really count that one. I love Sin City, but I'm not going to count it.
That's a Rodriguez film, right?
Yeah, he guest directed on that. Once Upon a Time is my bottom, and then Death Proof is probably second to last. And then The Hateful Eight, but I did like that Netflix released an extended Hateful Eight, but they did it in like 4 blocks. That way, for all those people who couldn't sit through a long movie, did it in 4 blocks. But The Hateful Eight, I enjoy that one. Then Reservoir Dogs. So Reservoir Dogs is like number 6 for me.
All right.
So it's in the middle.
All right. Well, let's see how different our top 10 favorite films are of all time. We tried to put into words how we define our top 10. Could it be different tomorrow? Chances are it would be at least slightly different. I do feel like my top 6 or 7 are pretty locked in, at least as of now, because we'll see. Mark, what is your 10th favorite film of all time?
Brian, listeners, I'm sorry. I still don't know. Can I start at number 1?
Are we going to go that way?
No. How about you start at number 10? I start at number 1.
All right, we can do that. Can I go with your number 1 then? Because I think we already know it.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like it's not a surprise, my number 1.
No, it is Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, easily. Number 1. Love Indy. Love Spielberg. You're going to hear Spielberg's name a lot. If you haven't seen The Fabelmans, please go check it out. Nominated for many, many Oscars, deservedly so, for writing, directing, and Best Picture. Please go watch The Fabelmans.
Did you even consider putting Fabelmans in your top 10?
No.
Too recent or just not top 10 worthy?
Too recent. I'm going to pace myself a little bit. I do love that movie though. I'm not tired of it in any way. I saw it 3 times in theaters.
Okay. So you want me to start
A-list.
You want me to start at 10?
Yeah.
I love A-List. I just reactivated it. It's wonderful. Yes. My number 10, as of now, again, I could have forgotten something. Catch Me If You Can. I love that movie. It was probably number 11. I eliminated it for this one, and it is Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. I love that movie so much.
Quotable, entertaining every time. I love the music. Johnny Depp, I think, should have been Best Actor winner over Sean Penn that year. But yeah, great choice.
Number 2, Mark.
Jaws.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I love Jaws. You can throw that movie on every time and I will watch it. Kid Mark was scared to go in the water because of it. I've read the book. The book and the movie, extreme differences. Check it out if you can. But I love Jaws. Shout out to The Ride. Another John Williams, brilliant score, Oscar-winning score. Spielberg was not nominated for director. It was a very upsetting thing because everything in the movie was but him. But anyways, go on. Yeah, Jaws.
John Williams' first score, correct?
No.
His first not his first Oscar winning score.
Nope.
What won a score before that?
That was his number 2. They used to.
I didn't mean his first score, but I meant his first Oscar winning score. Let
me adjust my nerd glasses here. It is his first Oscar for Best Original Score. During that time, they had Best Adapted Score, and he won it for adapting the music for Fiddler on the Roof for that film. So that was technically his first Oscar.
Interesting.
Yeah.
First one.
More you know.
All right. My number 9 film of all time. Shout out to Mary. My kids, I forced them to watch it last week, and my daughter was really mad about it, and then ended up watching it anyway, and had a bunch of questions about the Dread Pirate Roberts, The Princess Bride.
I love that. There's going to be a work outing movie night, and it's going to be The Princess Bride. There's a lot of people who haven't seen that movie that need to.
Inconceivable.
And there's a lot of people who have seen that movie who are super excited, rightfully so.
Is there any more quotable movie in the world for you?
Have fun storming the castle.
You fell victim to one of the classic blunders. The most famous is never get involved in a land war in Asia, but only slightly less well known is this: never go in against a Sicilian when death is on the line.
I did see a lot of movies, and my list has it, are extremely quotable. So,
upset of the century, Mark. I will spoil my top 10. Dumb and Dumber is not on here. That is probably the only film I quote more than Princess Bride.
Wow.
Aren't you proud of me? I'm an adult.
I'm surprised.
Number 3.
Surprised we haven't done a Jim Carrey episode either.
We have.
Oh crap! Look, old age sucks.
That was early. That was early on. I think it was like our 8th episode or something.
Guys, look, we've done a lot of episodes, so feel free to check out our big catalog.
Hey, Mark, check out our catalog of United We Fan episodes.
I know. You know what though? To save myself, I'm listening to Talkville. It's where Michael Rosenbaum and Tom Welling, who play Lex and Clark on Smallville, are going back reviewing every episode, and they're on season 2 now. And they're like, there's a lot of episodes where we didn't watch it, so we're watching it for the first time. We also don't remember a lot of parts of making it. So in my defense, friends, for us famous people, it's very common. Anyways, for
I don't
my
know what
number
my
3,
excuse is then, because I'm not famous.
My number 3, Young Frankenstein. There was no way that movie and Mel Brooks were being left off my list.
Your number 3 favorite film of all time is Young Frankenstein?
I love that movie.
Holy cow. Our lists are so different.
Which is great, which makes us great people because I have a very good list and you have an interesting list, and that gives us a lot of things to talk about.
I love Young Frankenstein. Like, don't get me wrong, but
wow, you just like shat on it right
no,
there.
I didn't.
Like,
but it's just not the third best film ever.
It's favorites, Brian. Favorites.
That's that's fair. I don't think we're gonna have any overlap. No. There's one film I think we might overlap on.
I think there might be a surprise. Go on.
Young Frankenstein. Go ahead.
Yeah, Young Frankenstein. Quotable, brilliant, well acted. I watch it every Halloween. I watch it whenever. I love that movie. Mel Brooks, freaking genius. He wrote a biography within the last couple of years. Read that. Such a great book.
Oh, speaking of books, I wanted to ask you, the Jaws book, was it before the movie?
Oh, yeah. Peter Benchley. Yep, before it. So the movie's it's an adapted screenplay.
Did not know. Okay.
Yeah, he's even in it. He's the reporter on the beach talking about a great white shark is coming to this town. That.
Okay. My number 8, the only animated film on my list. By saying that, I think you know exactly what it is. I am comfortable in calling this my favorite Spider-Man film of all time, and it is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It's my number 8 favorite film.
Yep. That was on my drawing board. I'm not saying if it didn't make it or not, but it was also on my drawing board.
I cannot wait for Across the Spider-Verse.
Like, I'm going opening night.
The amount of Easter eggs they're giving us just in the Instagram photos and everything, like, man, they gave this film the TLC it needed. They pushed it back I don't know how many times to make sure they were getting it right. And I think that this film, it didn't do that well in theaters the first time around, like 300 million or something. It is an Academy Award winner for Best Animated Picture. I
hope they do a double feature.
I think they will. And I think this movie, I think a lot of people are going to go see this movie.
Yeah, you need to. Please go see the first one. I can't recommend it enough, and listen to our episode on it. That's how much we love it.
I'm just afraid that they're going to use it to reboot a Spider-Man Sony version. Like, I hope they're careful. Like, I hope they let it be self-contained as its own franchise. I'm fine with getting a third one as well. But man, I'm worried to an extent that 2 ends with Miles in the real world, and we get and then 3 is actually a live action Spider-Verse film. Like, I don't know what to expect.
Wow, that's a bold prediction. Woo.
I think it's super possible.
Wow. Friends, from here on out, my list it's not really in order. It's it can be altered and changed at any point. I think that's the fairest and honest way.
Including during the episode.
Yeah. My first 3 are locked. So, but after that, things change. So next up, tell me if you've heard this before, a Steven Spielberg movie, Jurassic Park.
That's at 4?
Yeah.
There's our overlap. That is also my number 4. I will give that away right now.
Nice. Love that movie. We talked about on the last episode when we were mentioning Jurassic World, how Jurassic Park is our favorite in the franchise easily. I love it. Even when they released the 3D version, I was a kid in a candy store happy to watch it in 3D.
That movie's perfect. Like, absolutely perfect. What they were able to do with computer graphics as well as live props and everything else, the T-Rex, just everything, that movie, 100% perfect. I love that movie so much.
Yep.
That is my number 4 as well. So I kind of went out of turn, but we both had one at 4. My number 7, The Sandlot. When we talk quotable, Princess Bride, The Sandlot, like, The Sandlot had more of an impact on me as a child than any film that has ever existed.
Okay, pay attention. First, you take the gram. You stick the chocolate on the gram. Then, you roast the mallow.
No, it's my sleeping bag. That's mine.
When the mallow's flaming,
It is yours. It's like a yellow stain.
you stick it on the chocolate. Then you cover it with the other end.
Yeah, make me one of those. Yeah, me too.
Then you scuff.
I don't like that chocolate.
Kind of messy, but good. Try some.
I love that movie. When we talk quotable, it's great. It's fantastic. I love The Sandlot so much.
I didn't realize you loved it that much. Good for you. I just recently bought, because it was on a big sale, Little Big League.
Oh, I love that movie.
And I'm enjoying it quite a bit. It's, it's the whole Sandlot, Rookie of the Year, Little Big League, like kids.
It's the trifecta, baseball. Baby.
Yeah.
If you want to listen to more about that, Mark, we did do an episode about baseball movies, which we discussed all of those on.
We did. That was a fun episode. Baseball seasons, spring training's coming up. Getting excited.
We also have our fantasy field of dreams, which we fielded a lineup of fictional baseball players. That episode was a lot of fun. We got to figure out a way to do something like that again.
I know. Who knows? Basketball's coming up. And next up for me, actually, hang on. I might have a Best Picture winner that I forgot about. Hang on. I don't want to lead you astray, so I am making sure. And yes, it is. Okay. Next up for me, Best Picture winner, Casablanca. I love that movie. I hope some of you give that classic a chance. Talk about one of the best screenplays ever written. But yes, Casablanca, Humphrey Bogart. Brilliant movie. Brian, have you seen it? Probably not. I'm going to go with no.
I have seen Casablanca in bits and parts. I've never sat down and watched it start to finish.
Hurts my soul, but that's fine.
Sorry. It's probably not the first time. Won't be the last.
No, not at all.
My number 6. Everybody questions me every time I say it, but now I can officially say it is in my top 10. My number 6 favorite film of all time is Top Gun.
The first one?
The first one.
Okay.
From an enjoyment standpoint, again, The Sandlot, Top Gun, they've molded me into the man I am, which is why I'm so awesome now. But I love Top Gun. And Top Gun Maverick, again, I've said it many times, that was a film that had no right being as good as it was, but it isn't as good without the existence of the first one and the nostalgia that they pulled from at all the right times. And simply Maverick is also too new for me to feel comfortable putting it in my top 10.
But I love Maverick.
Oh, it's great. But I think what makes Maverick that much better is the existence of the first film.
Yeah, agreed.
Rooster means nothing without Goose.
We all know how I feel about Goose's death scene.
Yeah. So you're at number 5.
Next up, I'm gonna, like I said, this list can be rearranged, but I'm gonna go Moneyball. I love that movie. Yeah, I love that movie.
I considered it, but it actually didn't make my top 10.
Yeah, Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill. I love that movie.
I do too. Such a great movie. We talked about it with Chris Pratt in our last episode as well.
Yeah.
My number 5, I think you might have my number 5 somewhere in your top 10. Maybe not. My number 5, I can't believe I have a Christopher Nolan film in my top 5, but The Dark Knight is amazing.
The Dark Knight is on my drawing board. Who knows? But yeah, when I was thinking of movies that are going to be on my list, it came down to the superhero movies. I'm going, crap. Now I need to start thinking about which one is my favorite superhero movie. And that's where I started to have a mind melt. So The Dark Knight as a standalone movie, even, it's a brilliant film. Steven Spielberg just recently came out and said that should have been nominated for Best Picture. Brian, do you agree?
Oh yeah. Especially that year.
Yeah. That year, Slumdog Millionaire won, which good movie. I don't know if I would have given it Best Picture, but good movie.
I was gonna say, I don't think either of us are going to be talking about that one tonight.
No, but yeah, Dark Knight, great choice.
Your number 6.
Next up for me is, stop me if you've heard this, an E.T., a Steven Spielberg movie. So I love that movie. Saw it when it came to IMAX last year. I wasn't sure actually if it was going to make my list. And the more I watched it, just the more I loved it. And it might be my favorite John Williams score. So I love E.T.
It moves a little too slow for me. I'm going to be honest.
Oh, shocker. Brian needs fast-paced movies.
That's not true. That is definitely not true. You'll learn that when we get to number 3. Number 4, I already gave it away. Jurassic Park.
Brian has it number 4.
My kids learned how to play that on the piano, so they were constantly playing it all the time. So then my baby like sings everything in the Jurassic Park tune, like "Mommy, Mom, Mom, Mom," all the time.
Kids raised right. Yes.
Your number 7.
Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings.
Really? The first one?
Yeah, to me, I love that movie. I know everyone goes Return of the King, but I love Fellowship of the Ring.
That's fair. That's fair.
Was it too slow, Brian? Too long?
You're making fun of everybody picking Return of the King. That is my number 3.
Brian, whoa! I'm not making fun. I'm just saying everyone like has that as their favorite, and is surprised when I say, nah, the first one's my favorite.
If you told me, held a gun to my head and said you could only watch one Lord of the Rings film, like for me, I just view the Lord of the Rings as one long 12-hour film or 11-hour film, extended editions, of course. But it's Return of the King and the way they wrap up the story. Aragorn's my favorite character. Obviously, he gets his happy ending. Man, but if you told me I could only watch one scene or even just one film, I might go The Two Towers. The Battle at Helm's Deep is incredible. The way that it's filmed. Lord of the Rings Game of Thrones should have taken a few more notes on how to film dark scenes and still be able to see things. But I knew I wanted to put Lord of the Rings in my top. I did consider Fellowship of the Ring for a brief moment in time, landed on Return of the King, but all 3, like I kind of just at number 3, I kind of just have Lord of the Rings, but I had to narrow it down. So I put Return of the King. Yeah. But it's not the most fast-paced movie of all time.
Me being the nerd I am, I only watch the extended editions of
100%.
Lord of the Rings.
100%. It's the best way to do it.
Yep.
I love those films.
I know.
Okay, you're number 8.
Am I at 8?
Are you not?
No, I'm at 9.
9, my bad.
Yeah. Raiders, Jaws, Young Frankenstein, Jurassic Park, Moneyball, Casablanca, E.T., Lord of the Rings, and then number 9, Hot Fuzz.
That's awesome.
I know this is going to throw a lot of people off, but I love Hot Fuzz. So from the filmmakers behind Shaun of the Dead, from the director of Baby Driver, One Night in Soho, most recently, Hot Fuzz, brilliant. Check out their show Spaced that they did many, many years ago. But yes, Hot Fuzz.
Simon Pegg, we're still waiting for you to come on United We Fan.
I know we don't even have to talk about your movies, man. Like we can talk about whatever you want.
Hot Fuzz at 9. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I love that. Hot Rod, not my number 2, but I love that movie.
Rushmore of movies with the word hot in it.
My number 2 film, Avengers Endgame. That film is, again, a little bit cheating because it's kind of putting the whole MCU at 2 because of what it means for the entire franchise. The film is not 100% perfect. Is Infinity War maybe my second favorite film of all time? Like, this is where the MCU, like, I couldn't put Infinity War at 3 and Endgame at 2. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. But Endgame and the amount of emotion, I've never had the emotion in that film come out in a more excited film. The best movie theater experience I've ever had. That's a big part of it too. I love Avengers Endgame so much. So it's my number 2 film.
Yeah. I don't know if this is a hot take, but Endgame is not in my top 5 personal favorites of the MCU.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were gonna hot me on that.
No, I mean, I get it. There's a lot of people that don't feel that way, but it's for me what it represents, and it's just everything surrounding the film, and the fact that they were able to execute, like, even if it's not perfect, they were still able to execute on 90% of what they needed to.
Right.
And man, but that portal scene, like, the simple fact is you had a World War II veteran picking up a hammer, but what that meant just in the entire round of storytelling, it's what movies are supposed to do at their peak. And I will never forget that movie going experience.
All right. Yeah. For my last spot, like I said, movies that came to mind were like Notting Hill, When Harry Met Sally, What's Your Number. It was a very challenging thing. And then I'm also looking at my list going, damn, I haven't said like a Star Wars movie or an MCU movie or a DC movie. I haven't said anything like that. Empire Strikes Back. I thought that would have made my list. It didn't. I'm very shocked that a Star Wars movie did not make my list. Into the Spider-Verse was like one of the movies I was having a hard time going back and forth with. And then Brian, it honestly came down to Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one, The Dark Knight, and The Winter Soldier. And then Braveheart even popped up in there one point. But I think if you were to say right now, which one would you want to watch and can watch again and again? Oh man, I'm going to say Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, number 10.
Hey, not only do we have 2 overlap, we had them at the exact same spot.
Yeah. Damn. I feel like a fake nerd that I don't have one MCU movie in my top 10. It really hurts me not to have the Winter Soldier in there. At one point, I was going to drop E.T. or drop Hot Fuzz and slide Winter Soldier and Pirates in there. But I couldn't do it.
Hot Fuzz at 9. That's so awesome. Mark, what is my number 1 film?
Star Wars The Last Jedi.
No.
Episode 1.
The Phantom Menace.
Yeah. Is it Empire Strikes Back?
It is Empire, yep.
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back is not only is it the perfect film for me, it's everything that my childhood was. It's everything that my adulthood still is. All about Star Wars. I love Star Wars. As much as I love the MCU, Star Wars is always going to be my number 1. Empire, not only is it all the things that Star Wars is, but it's also all the things in film that a sequel should be. It pulled a lot of the great things that everybody loved about the first one and really expanded upon it and made it even better. It's probably the greatest, for me, it's the greatest film, therefore it's the greatest sequel of all time. But if anybody's talking film sequels, it's going to fall right in line there. Empire Strikes Back is, man, it's just so good. I love it so much.
Man, if I had to think of top 4 sequels, I'd probably go like Empire, Godfather 2, Aliens, and Terminator 2.
That's a pretty good list.
Yeah.
You left off Shrek 2, but beyond that, that's a pretty good list.
Oh, crap. And The Dark Knight. Man, The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight is a great sequel. Let's see.
Yeah.
I have Empire, Endgame, Return of the King, Dark Knight. Into the Spider-Verse doesn't really count.
No.
So I have 4 sequels on my list of top 10. I mean,
wow.
Endgame's still a sequel. Return of the King is a sequel.
Yeah.
They're a little different, but yeah. So, Empire Strikes Back. I've said it dozens of times on this podcast. I'll say it again. My favorite film of all time, and I never ever see that changing. So to run through my list, Empire Strikes Back at 1, number 2, Avengers Endgame, number 3, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, number 4, Jurassic Park, number 5, The Dark Knight, number 6, Top Gun, number 7, The Sandlot, number 8, Into the Spider-Verse, number 9, The Princess Bride, and number 10, Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl.
For me, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Jaws, Young Frankenstein, Jurassic Park, Moneyball, Casablanca, E.T., Lord of the Rings, Hot Fuzz, and the first Pirates of the Caribbean.
Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring.
Fellowship of the Ring, thank you. Sorry, Winter Soldier and Dark Knight and Empire. I'm so sorry.
This was fun. Let's do television shows next.
I think I could do, actually, I feel like television shows wouldn't be harder. Now, I say that now. I feel like it'd be easier, but saying that now, then comes all those animated shows that I love.
I think television shows gets more difficult because that's where comparing a comedy to a drama becomes even more difficult than it does with film.
See, I already know my top 4. It's going to be Friends, Spaced, Smallville, Parks and Rec is there, New Girl is there, I Love Lucy is there, Brooklyn Nine-Nine is there. Yeah, Daredevil's there. So, I mean, there's most of my top 10 already. Spoiler alert.
Interesting.
Ted
Lasso, top 10.
Oh, Ted Lasso. Shoot, Ted Lasso, yeah.
We do have news on Ted Lasso. It's coming back in the spring. That's all we know at this point.
Yay! Check out our episodes on that. Had a lot of fun making season 1 and season 2. Spoiler alerts for it all. Well, that concludes this episode, friends. We hope your mind is still intact. I'm going to need a minute after this episode. But let us know what you thought of our list and what your lists are. We love hearing it. Brian, let our listeners know how they can get in touch with the show and stay up to date on everything UWF.
You can find us on Instagram at UnitedWeFan_podcast, or you can find us on Facebook at UnitedWeFan, the podcast.
Yes, please give us some loving on Instagram. We're on the Twitter, the Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. We got tons of more episodes coming up. Brian and I have already been discussing, and I think we got the next 3 months almost planned out fully.
Pretty dang close.
Yeah, so we're gonna be rocking and rolling down to the beach. I'm strolling. Come on, Brian. Tell me you get that reference.
Oh, I 100% get that reference.
Okay. The seagull poking my head. Not fun. Anyways, on a rant. But thank you again. Listen to us wherever you check out your podcasts. Till we unite again, fans. Okay, Brian, we matched on Jurassic Park and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Correct.
Which one wins? Which one's your favorite?
Well, Jurassic Park. We both put it at 4.
That's true. Which ride is your favorite? River Adventure or Pirates of the Caribbean?
Oh, what am I looking for? Nostalgia or thrill? If I'm going thrill, it's Jurassic Park.
No, if I'm saying, all right, Brian, we're going to the parks. I'm going to helicopter fly you to the Pirates of the Caribbean or Jurassic Park. Which one are you doing?
Is Velocicoaster a choice?
No, Jurassic Park River Adventure or Pirates of the Caribbean.
I guess they are both boat rides. I'm going Jurassic Park River Adventure.
Till we night again, fans. See you soon.
Why is the run gone?